Welcome to Dalia's Politically Incorrect Show with the Poly Tips of the Week. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon on this Thursday. I'm here with a special edition of Politically Incorrect with Mady, Lisbona.
Hey, how you doing?
Thank you for joining because we have important things to talk about, and Mady always has such great input. Mady, we're going to get right to it. I see you brought a book with you. Do you want to tell my audience what it is?
Well, it's I don't know if a lot of people know this book. Is kind of recently. It's called The Constitution. Some people know it, some people don't. I'm going to use it today to do some...
So it's the American Constitution, the actual Constitution.
The actual Constitution, yes. Yeah. I have it in my house. I think that everyone needs to have it in his house to understand a bit what people are talking.
So where did you get it? Amazon?
Amazon, yeah. Okay. They're still selling it.
They are? Okay.
Yeah, not banned yet.
All right. Actually, it's a good idea. I don't have a copy. I'll get a copy.
Anyway, the reason we're going to talk today, and again, thank you very much for bringing me here on the show.
Actually, it's a good idea. I don't have a copy. I'll get a copy. That was us.
That was us. That was a great idea.
Yes.
And
Go on.
Today we're going to talk a little bit about something that happened a little bit more than a week. I can say 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Roger Benitez. He's the beacon shining light of the Second Amendment advocates in California, which is a federal judge rule against the 32-year ban against restrictions of firearms, including AR-15, and actually said that all the restrictions are off, and he overturned it. And I want to talk about it because I think it's a very important subject that people will understand, especially regarding the Second Amendment.
Okay.
Now, the Second Amendment, if anyone doesn't know exactly what it is, it's talking about the right to carry arms. It's a big thing in America, especially in the last 10, 15 years. We are living in California, that's considered one of the places that not really encouraging people to have guns. When usually you ask people what is the Second Amendment, they tell you, oh, it's the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, right?
Correct.
But that's why I brought this book, The Constitution, and I want to read to people the whole praise. So this after the First Amendment, with the Second Amendment says, a well-relegated militia be necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay, why is that so important?
Sounds very simple, actually.
Yeah, but why is that so important?
It's super important.
Because when people talking about Second Amendment, they say, oh, it's just for self-defense. No, it says over there, a well-regarded militia for a free state. Okay, it doesn't say which kind of weapon. It doesn't say for self-defense. It says for a free state. Why is that? Because the Second Amendment, just like the forefathers didn't think that if you're going to wake them after 250 years, they're going to look and say, oh, you only have two parties. I thought they're going to be a little bit more than that.
Right.
They didn't think that they would need that. The only thing that they did that is because they didn't want a dictatorship to rise. Now, as we all know, like Jewish people and other people knowing the rising of the Nazis and other dictatorship regimes, usually a dictator can do that only if the civil population is very weak. One of the things to make a civil population very weak is don't give them any meaning to rebel against you. Right? So usually when a dictator is overthrown, without an interference of other state, that's something regardless of that. But usually when it's happened, it's coming from the people themselves.
Okay.
If I'm someone who wants to control the people, how do I neutralize that?
Right.
I'm taking from them all the power, right?
Correct.
I own the police. I own the government. I own the hospitals. I own the media. I own the oil. I own everything. But why do I need to have all the weapons in case if something happens? Usually it's not just protest, okay?
Correct. Nobody will be able to come and defend our freedom, not defend themselves, defend the country's freedom.
Exactly.
But that's exactly what happened in Germany. You mentioned Nazi. They took away the gun rights.
That's what happened. They took the gun rights. And that's what people don't understand. When people said, oh, it's like Germany, people, how dare you talking about? Well, there is some similarity. Nobody says it's like that, but there is some similarity that you have to understand. A weakened civilian people, and let me rephrase what I say. I support everyone, even if I don't agree with them, to have a free speech and to say what they want to say. As long as you don't hurt other people, I support that. I can maybe, I support liberals who talk about Biden and how his body language is so intimidated Putin that Putin didn't even look at him, which is kind of baffled to me, because I don't think that a former Soviet Russian spy of the KGB will be fighting for my 80-year-olds who can barely have a sentence. But let's put it on the side. Okay, I will walk with them, and I will say, this is, you can say that, no problem. But when you take people's right, and when you take them the rights to bear arms in case if something happened, that's, again, it says well-regulated militia. Why is that? Because if the government know that in any moment, if they're too much taking the civil rights, if they're too much taking their freedom, the people can rebel against them. It's a little bit of breaks.
Correct.
And people say to me, oh, but there is the army and he can control the people. Well, not actually. If you ever been into the army, and people who were in the army, they will tell you it's very hard to fight in an urban area and to hold a lot of population. So let's say around 10% of the United States are in the army law enforcement. So we're talking about between 31 to 32 million people out of 330 million people, where you have more than 400 million guns, handguns, rifles, etc., 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 etc. It will be very hard to control that population. Okay, and that's what the government is fearing. That's why they're doing all this gun control. Now, going back, if people remember what we talked in the first of the show, we talked about Roger Benitez, the federal from San Diego, who talked about the AR restrictions, and he overturned that, and he compared in a very, very good, written 100 pages long, 100 pages long, not only about the AR, but including the AR. He talked why is it unconstitutional to do what California is doing during all this time. And he compared the AR to a Swiss Army knife, which is like multitasking. You can use it for self-defense, and you can use it for other purposes. And people really caught about it. Now, of course, our amazing governor, may he not rule for a long time, said, oh, it's so obscure, and just showed that people are narrow-minded. And the mass shooting in California,
they use that as an excuse all the time.
The mass shooting in California killed so if I'm not mistaken, either him or the general the general what's his name,
who are we talking about?
The prosecutor of the state. General, never mind. So he said,
we're politically incorrect here.
I'm sorry.
I can't think of it either.
So he said, the mass shooting in California killed more people than coronavirus. So I went to fact check that.
You're right. I was just going to say, I don't know if that's true or not.
So I went today to Wikipedia, and also I read some articles from the time. We can both agree that the time is not really a hand-wing journalist. And also Wikipedia is not really, there is a lot of things that are leftist. So I took Wikipedia as their source, not our source, because if I'm being from Blaze or Breitbart or Daily Wire and everything like that, it's just a right-wing propaganda. No, now we're talking about something else. Wikipedia, which a lot of people are saying that have some source. Well, according to Wikipedia, there was in 21 something like 18 mass shootings.
Okay.
In those 18, there was 32, if I'm not mistaken, or 33 people dead in all those mass shootings.
I don't, where? Because there was the one in Vegas,
California,
there was California.
California.
Okay, only California.
He said that in California, people died more in mass shooting than COVID-19.
Okay.
So I
that's
went
not accurate
and
anyways.
that.
Yeah.
So there were 32 all over in 21. According to the government official website, right now in California, just today, there were 31 people who died from COVID-19. Just today.
Just today.
Yeah. So I'm no mathematician, but I think
the numbers are
the
off.
number off. And people are using that all the time.
They use that as an excuse. But besides the point, if somebody wants to commit a crime, or if somebody wants to do something wrong or do a mass shooting, that person is not going to go legally into a store and buy a gun and fill out paperwork. They can find guns on the streets.
Yeah, and that's what brings me to the other point.
The whole thing doesn't make any sense.
The thing is about gun control, and that's what people don't understand. Here's the thing. The Second Amendment, a lot of people that, for the Second Amendment, we're too much sitting on the defense. We're not going on the offense. Mm-hmm. We're trying to get together what we have and not getting cheap in one by one from the things they try to take from us. So what is the problem with gun laws? Gun laws are laws. And who is going to obey a law? Someone who is a citizen who will go with the law anyway, right?
Right.
If I'm going in the highway.
A law-abiding citizen.
If I go in the highway.
Correct.
And there is 70 miles per hour. Mm-hmm. I go 70 miles per hour, right?
Correct.
If I go 100,
correct,
I'm a criminal.
Right. And you're going to do it anyways.
If I see don't go on the grass, I don't go on the grass.
Correct.
If I go on the grass, I'm a criminal.
Correct. It's a law-abiding citizen.
It's all of that. So
exactly.
So if I'm a law-abiding citizen, mm-hmm, and many restrictions are today in California. California is considered one of the 5 worst countries in the whole of the United States when it's come to gun laws.
Right.
And a couple of the restrictions that I want to talk, for example, is the fact that in a magazine of a gun, you can do only 10...
Explain it to the audience. So a magazine, because you know and I know what that is, but the audience doesn't know what that is. It's the amount of bullets that are inside the gun that you can shoot at one time before reloading.
Inside, so when you have a magazine, you can put only 10 rounds.
In California.
In California.
And somewhere else?
In somewhere else, for example, usually it's between, well, it depends on the gun, but it's between 15 to 17 in most of the Glock.
So very different.
That is very popular.
Correct.
Also for the AR-15, which according to Judge Benitez is more popular than the Ford F-150 pickup trucks. The standard is 10 rounds, as we said, but the standard magazine in other places, you can drive for 3 hours and go and buy it in Vegas, is 30 rounds.
Oh my God,
which means a criminal
difference.
Who is fighting against you, and let's say you take your AR, you registered, you did everything by the law, you took everything, you have those restrictions we're going to talk about, which prevent you how to shoot correctly. But we're talking just about the magazines.
Okay.
And you're not a kind of a person that goes every week to the range because you don't have that time or you don't have that money or both of them. Not everybody is going to
all
that.
of the above, right.
So you go and you take your AR, which you are highly untrained in, and you're shooting 10 rounds. And the person in front of you have a 30 magazine round. He have a 20 rounds
more
advantage
than
before you even start the fight.
So the question that people are asking, not me, but I'm asking because of the audience, is why does someone need to own that? What is your opinion?
Well, there is a couple of things. First of all, I think that if you don't want to own a gun, that's your right. Okay, nobody force you. But you cannot deny that there is evil in this world and people do bad stuff.
Of course.
And people break into stuff just like we see.
Yes.
One of the things that we just saw that the LA County sheriff approved a CCW, a concealed carry weapon in LA County, which was very rare before that because the crime rates went in dozens of chances, more than 68%, if I'm not mistaken, in the last year.
Oh, wow.
Okay. A lot of people see homeless people that go in and do crimes.
It's
a lot of people that because of the coronavirus didn't find a job in other place went to do crime or were just bored at home. As we know, boredom is very lethal because it makes people do
things that they wouldn't have done before.
Exactly. So you cannot say, oh, everything is shiny and unicorns and everything's going to be right. There is some bad people there. With that being said, I'm not educated to people, oh yeah, buy a gun and don't know how to use that. Use that, know how to train, know safety, get to gun culture, understand those things, understand that people who are highly trained in that is just like a car. If you don't know how to drive, you're not going to go on the highway.
Right, you're going to get in a car accident.
Exactly, but if you know how to drive, the more you know how to drive, the more experience you have, the more you can handle.
You have confidence.
Yeah. So, for example, if I take a 16-year-old boy who drive 2 months, and I give him a brand new Porsche, and I take someone who's been driving for 20 years, the person who is driving 20 years have more experience.
Of course, the outcome is most likely going to be different.
Exactly. So we are letting kids who barely know how to drive handle cars on a daily basis.
Correct.
But we are not letting law-abiding citizens to own guns just because a criminal can come and do bad things to them and to their families.
Right.
And one of the biggest problems that I always know as a tactical instructor and a self-defense instructor, that people come to me and say to me, oh, I own a gun of this, I own a gun of that. And they are lacking the profit culture and understanding why do they need that. So regarding to what you say about AR is not, people said assault rifle, which is misleading term. I think automatic rifle is more about it. And because it's have so many variants that you can modify it, it's very good for self-defense. You can work it in for short range for 20, 30 yards. You can do that for 150 yards. And it's helping you also in all sort of forms to self-defense from the close circle and from the further distance.
Okay.
And if you need it, for God forbid, something happen and you need it because they're going to be a coup or something like that, like all us doomsday guys, you will know exactly that this is very good for you, and you can handle that, and it's very easy to work with it. As you know, you've been trying that, right?
Yes,
something
I've
that is very easy to work with.
Yes.
Something that is very easy to
Actually,
aim.
I was surprised at how easy, because it looks scary, and then it's really easy to shoot. It's not. Actually, it was more accurate than some of the other guns that I was using.
Exactly. Yeah. And I say again, you don't buy something if you're not being trained to.
Right. That's you have to be trained.
I said all the time to people, before you buy a gun, before you got a rifle, go to the range, experience, try it. People try it, experience, try to do that on your own. Go to do, if there's amazing instructors out there, look them up, go to the range, shoot a couple of guns, hire a couple of them, go shoot rifles, see if you like it, if you don't like it. But at least you will know when you get to the shop, you will know exactly what to buy.
Absolutely, you're right. I understand it more now because I did go with you shooting several times, and definitely it made a big impact on me, because I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have had a clue. I would have probably ended up in a store and bought like a little lady's gun or something, and that wouldn't have been what I really need and what I really can shoot. So now I'm doing something else. But however, you have to keep practicing. You can't just buy it, even though, let's say I went with you already. By now, I don't remember some of the stuff that you told me.
It's just like everything else. There is no shortcuts. You have to practice.
You have to keep practicing. So do you think that somebody that owns a gun should go at least once a month, twice a month, and shoot the gun?
Again, I cannot say to people what to do. In my vision,
in your opinion.
In my opinion,
right.
If you are doing that less than a week or 2 weeks, you're losing touch. Your finger trigger, your pointing, even if you do dry fire at home, which means dry practice, safety and everything, still it's not like in the range, which I don't recommend to do dry fire at home. But if you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. With that being said, let's go back to what we talked about, the overturn of the AR and all the other restrictions of Judge Benitez. And right now, it's in 30 days where the government can appeal for that.
Okay.
So, of course, the government appealed for that, and now it's going to go to the Ninth Circuit of California.
Okay. So what does that mean?
It means that those bans are not uplifting yet. It's still on hold. It's still pending. Now, what's going to happen next? I think, and other people like me think, that it's going to go to the Ninth Circuit of California, which is very liberal, which also took 5 proposals that were for the Second Amendment already. But then either the judge or someone else is going to appeal for that, and then it's going to go to the High Supreme Court of America. And this is where things get interesting. Because thank God for Trump, who made the High Supreme Republican. And there is a good chance that we're going to win this war, but it's going to take some time. People have to understand, if this go to the high court and it's not only affecting California, it's affecting the whole United States. And if it's going to affect the whole United States, we can say bye-bye to bans, gun controlling ban for a long, long time.
So can't the individual state put their own laws and rules in effect?
Well, yes and no, but
I mean, they can pass it on votes.
They can pass it, but when we're talking about federal, it's a little bit different.
Right, it's a little bit different.
And we need to wait. There is still time. Currently now, don't go and buy something that is not illegal in California.
No, I wouldn't tell anyone to buy something illegal. On the other hand, if they're going to ban rifles or guns and make us give it back, you will find people buying unmarked guns, because they're kind of almost turning the people into...
They're turning people to criminals.
To criminals when they don't want to be a criminal. They want to come out clean.
And that's the problem. If I'm a law-abiding citizen and I have a stock that I buy in Freedom Week, which have 30 rounds in it, and now it's not legal, I'm becoming a criminal even though I follow the rules. Now, when we talk about restrictions in California, people have to understand all those restrictions just make you use your gun, your AR for this example.
Okay.
Uncomfortable, very hard to shoot it. We got this fin that you put, that, as you know, that you put on the handle, which makes it harder to shoot.
Okay.
You got a fixed stock, which makes it harder to shoot. There is also kind of restrictions. If your stock is moving, then there is this ridiculous spin that you have to actually take out the air into half and then take out the magazine and then put it back, which in real time going to take a lot of time.
So you can't even use it for self-defense, you're saying? It's going to be too difficult.
It's too much restriction, and it's been restriction with people who I think personally never owned guns, never shot guns, never understand how guns work, because they don't understand that all of it, I'm sorry to my language, is just BS. I mean, it's not the only thing that all those restrictions are doing is making people who need to defend themselves. For example, all those mass shootings and all those places, if there were highly trained civilians in those places, that would be stopped. Now,
it wouldn't have been able to get to such a degree and so bad.
Yeah,
I would be able to stop it. Also, I have a question for you because, I took out my license and even if I want to have a gun at the house for self-defense, I have to lock it up in a box, and the ammunition is somewhere separate. So what am I supposed to do? I was sorry, Mr. Can you wait 5 minutes? Let me load my gun.
By the way, Bill Burr have an amazing beat on that. He said that, like, you have to separate it, and you're saying your wife, where's the ammo? In the living room. He's in the living room. He's amazing at that. That's one of the many problems. We have to remember that a lot of the gun law is ridiculous. For example, now they want to pass a gun law that says that if you are owning a gun, every time you have to have a yearly, annually, or every couple of years check that it's based on others people's opinion. What
does that mean?
It means if I want a gun.
Okay. Who's going to check it?
And my ex needs to put... My ex-wife, I don't have an ex-wife, for example, if I have an ex-wife, she needs to put opinion if I can carry a gun or not. My business associate needs to say if I can carry a gun or not. People who doesn't have anything to do with that. And I don't know about you, but I know plenty of people that just have pure revenge or just...
I don't know how to share it.
Okay.
I was trying to share the show.
Questionable motive.
While we're live here.
Some people from questionable motive will say, "Oh, this person cannot have a gun; it's too dangerous to society, etc., etc." Even if they never know and never met me, or met me really rarely, or
in a bad situation.
Bad situation,
meaning an uncomfortable situation. So I have a question about that, because sometimes, you need something to before the person buys the gun. I'm not saying every year or anything like that. What if the guy is a little bit off and shouldn't have a gun? There are people like that.
Well, I think here's the thing.
Okay.
Again, it's just my opinion. People need to have a certain qualification to handle a gun.
Okay.
With that means they need before they get the gun, they need to have a certain training.
Right.
a very vast training.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming from Israel. In Israel, if you want to own a gun, you need to go with an instructor.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go for all the government background and checks.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go to the range, shoot in the range from a certain distance, know how the guns work, understand about safety, etc., 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 etc. And just like a driver license that you go every time to the DMV.
Correct.
And you look at the DMV and you said, okay, this person can qualify. He's on meds. If he's not on meds, if something changed in the last 5 years, that's what you need to do. I don't think that you need to overbury that. I don't think that you need to put too much restriction. But with that says, if you're going to give me guns, don't restrict me on which guns I'm going to take.
Right.
Don't tell me how many bullets I need to put in my magazines, because all you do is just restrict me as a law-abiding citizen.
Yes.
And in case something happened, for example, if there is a terrorist outside, out of my workplace, and I need to take my gun with my 10 bullets and shooting a well-armed person, maybe he have a Glock and I have a Glock, which is a model of a gun. But he have 17 rounds and I have 10 rounds. Okay, I shoot mine, bam, bam, bam. I miss 10 of them. He still have 7. Well, guess what? Who's gonna win?
Of course, yeah.
So in that moment, exactly, my very lethal weapon become just a chunk of metal that you cannot do except of throw and hope for the best.
Right.
And that's what people don't understand. You need to be trained in guns. You need to understand the culture. You need to understand the Second Amendment and why is it for. The Second Amendment is not for people to go around and they can shoot animals, or they walk on and feeling machoism, or many men or women if they have that. No, it's to stop bad people, including in the government, to take over and to enjoy your freedom.
Yes.
That's why it's the second.
To protect our freedom.
That's why it's the Second Amendment. It's not the 5th. It's not the 6th. It's not the 7th. It's the 2nd. And there is a person that I advise everyone to look. His name is Colin Noir on YouTube. He's a great guy. Very, very. He's a lawyer. He's also do reviews about guns. Very big advocate of the Second Amendment. There is a lot of other great people about that. I urge people, go do your own research. Look for yourself. Don't believe to what I say. What I said about mass shooting, what I said about COVID. Go do your own research.
Right.
Okay? But at least come with some knowledge.
Yes. Also, what is your opinion about guns at school for protection? Meaning like that somebody is trained, highly trained, because there's children involved, that if some crazy walks in off the street, somebody will be able to take care of them.
Well, the old saying is that the only people that can stop bad guys are good guys that are trained.
Trained. That's the key word.
I think that every security in big places, like cooperative, like government, like children's places, should have security who are well trained, and the staff should go in seminars and understand what to do in case of an active shooter. I think that every place should have like a blueprint in case of something like that is happening. I think the people, just like we do fire drills, people have to know what's going on with that. When people say, oh, just let's put more gun laws and then we're going to restrict those bad people, it's not going to happen.
I agree.
Okay, 400 million firearms not going to vanish overnight. It's not going to happen.
No.
With that being said, there is my concern in America, at least what I saw, that a lot of people are not trained enough, and they're putting it somewhere. They've never been used it before. They don't understand the rules or the law and what's going on, and they just causing themselves more harm.
Right. So there should be training laws, like you said. If you buy a gun, you do 20 hours of training.
I don't like the words, the laws. I would say guidelines. There should be guidelines.
Yeah. All right.
Regarding the Second Amendment.
Something to give people the right to bear arms, but also to know how to use them properly.
Listen, I would say something that some people think it's radical, but I think that kids who are in a certain age and above need to know about firearms. I will not say that they need to train on firearms daily basis, but they need to know. They need to know the correct education about it, the safety rules, don't go to your daddy's safe and try to get the guns and other things that's going on.
Protection.
Also, with a lot of people said to me, you know how many people died from firearms? 60,
from accidents.
From not only from accident. Overall, there's more than 60,000 people that die every year from firearms. I said, yeah, but most of it are people who try to commit suicide, which means they had something available and they use it. It could be a pill, it could be jump out of a bridge, it could do an accident, all those things. So that is something that is mental. It doesn't have anything to do with the firearms. And people have to understand that. If you actually look at the mass shooting, it's only 6% of the over total of casualties with firearms in a year.
Okay. But having said that, when you're saying something like somebody committing suicide, so then the background checks every whatever it is, 5 years, like you said, or something, maybe needs to be about mental health. People change,
Maybe, well, that's concern for something else, but we are not there yet.
Right. We're not even close to it.
Listen, we are in California.
Yeah.
It's so restricted here.
It is. And I don't see it changing so fast.
Let's talk about something else.
Okay.
Gun shops. If a gun shop want to get credit, you know that Bank of America don't give any credit for people who are in the gun business?
No, I had no idea.
Okay. So there is a lot of corporations who don't do that. And that's what I'm saying. This is where you come in, by the way. If you want to do something about it, you can write or send an email to the people who represent you. You can
excuse me, Congress. They can send it to their congressperson.
To the congresspersons. You can send it to your local branch of Bank of America, whatever corporate is that against that, and you can influence that. This is where you come in. We are too much time playing the defense, and we don't do the offense. People need to be heard. Your Congress people need to understand that
if
there
enough
are people over there that wants to be for the Second Amendment.
Yes.
And with that being said, I want to go to talk about something a little bit
different.
Off topic.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're almost running out of time.
Yes. Okay.
As some of us know, and you know also, the anti-Semitic. The anti-Semitic is on the rise right now, and there is a lot of places that are all over the world, including the United States, that we see more anti-Semitic in the last year. Some people came and asked me, why is that? I think there is a number of causes for that. One of them is the elections that we had here in America. The American government is perceived as very weak in other places.
Correct. Right now. Yeah, let's clarify.
Okay, right now, since Biden got elected,
this new administration in general.
When you see the person who represents all of America cannot go up the stairs and mumble things that are not incoherent and talk about things that totally out of context. And whoever saw the G7 was just right now with some of the conference there, they see how people look at Biden.
Right.
Nobody takes him seriously.
No, you can't take him seriously, and he's also weak in regards to defense, American defense, and things like that. So I think that anti-Semitism has been on the rise in the last several years all over the world. And in America, it's not that it wasn't on the rise, but they were quiet and didn't feel comfortable to come out openly because Trump was strong, is strong, was as our president, is a strong person, strong military-wise. He set up special service, a special guy, I don't know what his actual name or name of the field is, to help against anti-Semitism in the United States in schools. He didn't allow schools to have it.
Also, something that people don't forget, people tend to forget, he was unpredictable, and people didn't know where it's going to go from. Like that, and when you play with other nations like Russia, like China, which is a side note, it's amazing how they say before that Russia was our biggest enemy and how Trump was a Russian puppet, and now no, Russia is okay.
Right.
Like we are the best friend of Putin. Putin looking like, what are you talking about? I still hate you, you American dogs. Come on.
You can do a comedy show.
You little bitches. Come on. No, I'm just kidding. He never called us bitches.
No, I know.
Not in front of the cameras anyway. But they don't take us seriously. You can see that also with Iran. So when the government, which is one of the biggest supporters of Israel, is weak, it's making people more comfortable to go against the Jews. Now, what happened in the last war that happened with Gaza and the Palestinians?
It's not really over yet.
No, it's involved Jerusalem. As we know, Jerusalem have a big role in Christianity, in Judaism, and in
all
Islam.
religions.
So there was a massive walk around that. So all the people, wait a minute, this authoritarian government is very weak, and this is going on with Jerusalem, which is like our heart and soul. So yeah, let's go on board. Beside of that, I think that all over the world, people who are like sleeping cells from the Islam, and this is, I urge people who knows a little bit Hebrew to hear Mordechai Kedar, which is a great guy who's talking about the Islam. Also, there is Guy Becho on Telegram, a lot of people who knows actually what they're talking about, and they're quoting the Islam and the principles of the Islam. And people have to understand that one of the things that Islam is using is something that's called the jihad, which is a holy war. But there is a lot of difference of a holy war. A holy war is not only physical. It's not going bombing people or that. There is also a holy war of explaining how to bring people into the Islam, how to establish.
It's kind of like a PR.
Yeah, how like it's kind of like what the missionaries, the Christianity did with the missionaries. The same they do that in the Islam. How to build their own culture, how to gather people, how to use the system of the country that they are to manipulate in order to achieve that.
Yes.
And that's again. I know basic things about it. I don't want to say things that I don't know.
That could be a whole conversation for another day.
I urge people to look at it, but it's one of the reasons. Regarding what we said about anti-Semitism, it comes and go. I think, yes.
I don't think it ever went.
No, it's
I don't agree. I just think that people were scared to talk and they feel comfortable now.
I'm meaning like a tide. Like, the ocean is still there, but sometimes it slows down back, but it's still an ocean.
Exactly.
Like, there's still anti-Semites out there in the whole world. Sometimes you see
now the
more
tide's high.
Yeah, exactly. So when the tide is high, that's why people need to be trained more in everything, tactical awareness and other things, and that's why people need to understand more what they're dealing with.
Right.
And like we say, knowledge is power.
Yes. To understand and know.
That's what I urge people when people say to me, "Oh, what we should do?" I said to them, "Listen, go out there, learn, open, know things. Go, even if you do tactical seminars, or you go and do martial arts, or you do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, or whatever. You go to the range, or you do archery, or you go and do some other martial arts of knife fighting or stick knife fighting or whatever." Or even know the law, the Constitution, that you can explain to people so you understand
know
the
your
limits.
laws.
It's very important. Again, I would say something that I always say for people. Us, Jewish people and Israeli people, we cannot live in ignorance. We cannot walk around like everything is good. We have to learn, we have to know. And I hope that in this place, which I think is the greatest country on earth right now, beside of Israel, of course, this is our last stand. If America is going to fall, there will be no place else. And
so
we are blessed to have such amazing people here who support Judaism and Israel as all together. But we need to work also. We cannot stand on the side and do nothing.
Yes, every person has to be vigilant and know their rights, know the laws, and know the truth about how we got to this situation in Israel. Because there's a lot of fake news out there and a lot of things going on.
All the time.
Yeah, but that could be a full conversation that you can come back. You're welcome to come back. We'll do another show.
I will think about it.
And you'll think about that. And thank you for coming today.
Thank you so much.
We're going to wrap it up now and hope everyone has a good day, good weekend. Thank you so much to the audience and to TLA Radio. Have a